we have actually done all of these examples already, but we're gonna see what happens. So example 1 says solve the equation by completing the square, and I'm gonna have x squared minus 8 x minus 5 equals 0. So it says solve the equation by completing the square. And remember, the way I want you guys to do it, because I think it's easiest, is by remembering this. I mean, some people have a hard time remembering that, but if you remember that, and you're good to go, really. And then you take this, cut it in half, divide by 2. That would mean we get a minus 4 there. So take this, it's the b term, and divide by 2. So that's dividing by 2. And then you take this, and you square it. So I'll say you take it and square it. These are the same notes that I used last time. Square, so that would be 16. It's always a minus out here until you combine stuff, but it might stay a minus, like in this case. And then we have so minus 5 equals 0. Let me bring that stuff down. So we're completing the square still. We gotta combine like terms, and we have x minus 4 quantity squared. Negative 16 and negative 5 make negative 24. Is that right? Yeah? 20, what? What? 21? Yeah, negative 21. And that equals 0. And it says solve, so that means we need to keep going. So, and we know how to do this. Plus 21, plus 21. This is easy. X minus 4 quantity squared equals 21. And then we square root both sides. Every time we square root, we get a plus or minus. Yes, very good, very good. So, can I write 21 as a perfect square times something else? Let's see. 3 times 7. Is that the only thing? I think so, and that does not work. So, nope. Alright, then maybe I'll write it as 2 separate equations. Minus 4 equals positive square root of 21. Some people just forget to write the 21 or the square root. Don't forget that. It's important because this is not 21. It's a square root of 21. It's like 4 point something if you type it into a calculator. I think you should try that. And then x minus 4 equals negative square root of 21. One of them is positive, one of them is negative. And then you just solve like normal. Plus 4 plus 4. X equals 4 plus square root of 21 because it's positive there. Or x, this is plus 4, right? Yeah. Equals 4, that's positive, minus square root of 21. And that's it. Those are your two answers. If you were to type them into a calculator, you can get approximations for them. The approximation for the square root of 21 would be, well, 4 plus 4.583, something like that. So this approximation would be 4 plus that. So that'll be 8.583. And yeah, we say little squiggly equals, that's approximation. And then if we do the other one, 21, we make it negative in the calculator and then add 4. And that would be x equals negative 0.583. So, approximately. If you can get them as a decimal if you want to. That's fine. I want you to understand that this is not 21. It's the square root of 21. This is actually closer to 4 than it is to 21. But there you go. That's, you can complete the square by and solve complete. Solve by completing the square. That's example 1. Let's do another one, huh? Let's do another one. I feel like we should be comfortable with that, so I'm gonna do like a weird looking one. Let's be over here. So same instructions here. This one's kind of like 29 and 30. Solve by completing the square. Now, this looks way weird. Not something that we're used to, but we can make it look like something that we're used to. And that's just by distributing the a. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to distribute the a. We got a squared. It's so nice. A squared. How you doing, a squared? Nice to meet you. Then it's the 13a equals negative 4. And I'm going to add the 4 over just to make it look like normal. So I get a squared plus 13a plus 4 equals 0. I cannot combine these because this one doesn't have an a, so they're not like terms. And then I just remember my pattern. X, and then parentheses squared minus on the outside. Okay, what goes in here? I take this and divide it by 2. It's a positive 13, so I'd say plus 13 over 2. If you wanted to change that to a decimal, you could. And then I square it over there, 13 times 13, that's, I think, 169. And 2 times 2, I have to do the bottom as well, that's 4. And then I still have my plus 4 from right over there equals 0. Cool. So I get x plus 13 over 2, quantity squared. And then I want a common denominator, so I'm going to multiply by 4, and I get 16 in the top here. Then I'll write out these steps. It's not too bad. Plus 16 over 4. Now I got to combine these, except for this one's a negative. So negative 169, that's what I got to think. Negative 169 plus 16. I can even use a calculator. And that's a negative 153 over 4. I can't divide that. And I have an x plus 13 over 2 still, quantity squared, equals 0. And now I just get everything to one side. I get it over to the right side. Well, actually, I'm looking to get this by itself, and then I look to get this by itself, and then finally the x by itself. So first, I can add 153 over 4 plus 153 over 4. So that goes away, and I get x plus 13 over 2 squared equals 153 over 4. And then, yes, you guessed it, we square root both sides. Anytime we put the square root in, we do the plus or minus, right? It's tattooed in your brain right now, right? Maybe. And so that goes away, and we get x plus 13 over 2 equals, oh boy, you could write it like this and just leave it. In fact, we'll leave it for now. 153. Make sure it extends all the way to the bottom of the fraction, because otherwise it means something different. If you only wrote it in the top part of the fraction, then you would have this, and that's a different number you could actually see in the calculator. If you plugged in this into the calculator and then square rooted it, you would get a different number as if you square rooted this and then divided by 4. So make sure you write it all the way down there. And then I'll subtract 13 over 2. Oh, we're done. Well, almost. X equals, I'm going to say negative 13 over 2 plus or minus 153 over 4, all underneath a radical. Now, I see this and I see the 4. That's a perfect square. So I think, wait a minute, it's underneath a square root. Can't I do anything with that? And the answer is yes. When you have a fraction like this, and it's under a square root, you can actually take the square root. So we could say x equals negative 3 over 2 plus or minus the square root of 153 over the square root of 4. That's the same thing. That is okay. And then you get x equals negative 13 over 2 plus or minus the square root of 153 then I'm going to check that over 2, because the square root of 4 is 2. And there you have it. You could write it twice as 2 different answers, but I'm going to leave it like that. Fantastico. How many examples is that? 2? Alright, bye-bye.